also have to pay the tap fees.
Okay.
So this
is
is
the district for the sewer district, right?
for the sewer district, yes.
Right. The water.
The water we have worked through with the town of Breckenridge, as I mentioned before, and the town of Breckenridge right now is willing to provide us with water, subsidized water for the affordable units.
Okay.
Market rate water with all the fees and everything associated for the market rate units, and that's kind of the outside service rate, but still was very, very helpful as far as that goes, you know, and frankly helped to make this project viable and feasible. So, but again, what I'm stressing here primarily is the fact that this is what the master plan calls for. So, you know, I hear all the time in land use projects, somebody picks one part of the master plan and says, this doesn't comply with the master plan because it doesn't meet this one part. But what does advisory mean? And what does advisory mean in terms of advisory versus mandatory? It doesn't mean these policies aren't important. Absolutely not. What it means is that the endeavor has to be to take a look at all these policies and the overall vision laid out by the master plan, or really by the combination of master plans. There's 3 chief master plans that are in play here. And taking a look at all those master plans, balancing those policies to accomplish, to best accomplish and foster the key policies and incentives that are laid out in the master plan. In terms of the priorities laid out in the master plan, they certainly reflect what we're talking about here. In terms of the efforts that have been made recently in the master plan, they certainly reflect what we're talking about here. Really quickly, I'll just point to a few other master plan policies, and I'll really just kind of cite them so that we have them on the record. In the countywide comprehensive plan, the preamble, which has been cited in that other letter, the preamble also calls for the fact that the board felt that projects should be immediately pursued because results could have direct impacts that help plan for or facilitate any potential affordable housing projects in the future. And this is, I'm sorry, I should have read the first part, which was the purpose of the updates of the basin master plans was to identify properties in the unincorporated areas of the county that could potentially serve as sites to locate affordable workforce housing. I mean, what we're stressing here is this was not done by the county in any sort of half-assed fashion. This was done with real volition, with focus, and with a lot of effort. Multiple meetings, multiple studies, and a lot of properties left by the wayside as we went forward. Okay? And this is one of the few properties that's here, and we're finally here, and we have the opportunity to make this happen. And it talks again in the countywide comprehensive plan about the critical importance of the county to continue to seek opportunities to partner, to pool resources, leverage funds, or develop joint strategies and undertaking projects to increase the supply of local resident housing. This is all cognizant of the fact that we need to all work together to address this problem because it is a community problem, and that includes private development, it includes the public entities, it includes everybody who has a role in Summit County in the land use and development process. Goal B, Policy 1, also talks about continuing to allow de-restricted affordable housing units created in conjunction with an upzoning. I could go on, but the fact of the matter is we have these laid out there, and these are all master plan policies. So how you weigh those policies is entirely within your auspice, but how we interpret how you have weighed those policies in the past. For lay people who are here looking at those policies and weighing them, well, we interpret them and we look at them based on where the emphasis was lied, where the background was behind how those policies were adapted, how maps were made and decided upon, and that's what we've done here. Really quickly, I want to talk about the TDR map change. When we started out the TDR program in this county, it was sending areas and receiving areas. And after, I'm not even sure how long it was recognized that there should probably be a third designation of neutral areas. In doing that, almost all the neutral areas that were created out of receiving areas, because we certainly didn't want to take the sending areas, which at that point in time was essentially the backcountry zone, and then subsequently some wetland blocks. We didn't want to take those receiving areas and turn them into neutral, but we wanted to do that with the sending areas and turn them neutral, but we wanted to do that with the receiving areas. So we created this system so that you could request a designation to receiving on a case-by-case basis, and it gave the county a lot more opportunity to consider the merits of any proposed request. Now here we have a pretty rare situation. As far as I know, if anybody knows any differently, please let me know. This is the only property that has a bifurcated TDR mapping designation. It's the only one. And as soon as we were advised that because of that split mapping designation, we had to apply for a TDR map change, we did so right away. But this area has been designated as receiving for a very long period of time, at least that front part. Now, the conundrum is, if you say, well, the front part is where I'm going to put the employee housing use because that's where it's most appropriate, it's most proximal to transit, et cetera, and that's where it's called for, then where does the density incentive that the master plan clearly calls for come into play? Well, it has to be somewhere outside of the front area, or else you're taking away the opportunity to build employee housing. So there is a certain base logic here, and that's really why the master plan is set up the way it is, to weigh those policies and goals, so that you can apply base logic and base understanding of what it is you were trying to accomplish with these master plans. You know them better than we do. The Upper Blue Plan Commission knows them better than we do. And I resent any suggestion that the Upper Blue Plan Commission did not painstakingly review this entire application and all those considerations when they made the decision. We were here till pretty late in the evening, a lot later than I am in most Upper Blue or any Plan Commission meetings that I've had. We spent a lot of time talking about it, a lot of time debating it, and a lot of time pondering it. And we understand that you want to do the same, and we appreciate that. This is not an easy application. Nothing of this nature is, especially when it's the first one that's done. However, we believe we have a quality application. We have spent 18 months on this thing, refining it, fine-tuning it, and changing around, getting it to something where basically it's as much as we can do that will fit and that will accomplish the goals we set out to accomplish here. And these are local individuals who are here, who live in that area, you know, who are not coming here and then gonna run away from it. They're proud of this project. They stuck through this project. They stuck through this project through a lot of rough times. We had open houses, multiple open houses over the course of this thing. And open houses were reserved space. We sent out hundreds of invitations to everybody in the community. In terms of the neighbor, directly to the north, the neighbor directly to the north, I'm a little geographically challenged, I apologize. I reached out to that neighbor individually over a year ago. Or actually, that wasn't over a year ago. It was last summer, right around June, before the work session, and said, we'll be glad to sit down and go over every single concern you have. And we've done so with any neighbor that's reached out to us and asked. We had an open house where one person finally came in the last hour, and we spent an hour with them, with architects, lawyers, engineers, planners, etc. We've committed this whole time to a project that works for the community, that blends into this particular community where we are,